React to scary stories. You know I put on my chat, so I got y'all. Chat, which one? Scary stories. Oh, this is the mall. So these stories take place in the mall.
To most, the New World Mall in Bangkok was nothing more than ruins. It was a building that fell apart over time. It had been a giant mall full of life until a fire in the 1990s left it abandoned. As late as 2019, there were barely remnants of the luxury it once had. Graffiti-covered walls, stagnant water in the basement, and thousands of mosquitoes. A place where no one wanted to enter. Despite that, there were kids who saw the mall as their own hideout. Some of my schoolmates used to go there, used it to do whatever they wanted, and no one dared to stop them. I had to deal with them several times. At first, it was just teasing in class. Then pushing and shoving at recess, until little by little things got worse. I tried to avoid trouble taking different routes home and staying away from them. That day in 2019, I thought I would make it, but as I turned a corner, I saw them behind me. They were approaching with a smile that made me understand that this time, things were going to get serious. I barely had time to react when they surrounded me. I felt a knot in my stomach. I knew what was coming. Crit, Arthid, and Naran were the names of my stalkers. Crit was the leader, tall and always with a defiant attitude.
Three old-ass Indian dudes are stalking him?
But they followed Crit.
How does he know their name?
That day, all three were looking at me as if I were their prey.
Why do you always try to escape, eh? Don't you understand that it ends up being worse?
I didn't answer. It didn't make sense. The next thing I felt was a push from Naran that almost knocked me to the ground. I tried to stay calm and look for some way to escape, but they already had everything planned.
What year is this?
Arthid grabbed my arm and together, with the other two, started dragging me away.
Oh,
you know, we just wanted to run into you. Today we are going to a special place.
I didn't know what he meant by that, but after a few seconds, I realized they were taking me straight to the New World Mall, where I knew no one would come looking for me. I knew what they did in that place. It was their vandalism zone, where they broke things and did whatever they wanted without anyone seeing them. Entering that mall meant entering their territory. I tried to scream, but Crit covered my mouth while the others laughed.
What happened to their eyes?
We entered the building through a back door, a dilapidated entrance that was barely standing. The smell was the first thing you noticed upon entering. Moisture, mold, accumulated garbage.
I was
pushed carelessly while they held me by the arms, forcing me to walk through the dust and dirt.
They gonna get kicked.
Mosquitoes soon surrounded us, attacking my arms, my face, and my neck.
Oh my God, bro.
We were heading towards the flooded part of the mall, an area where stagnant water covered the entire floor almost like an artificial swamp.
I'm not letting no nigga drag me on the ground.
Dark, and
all the way to a mall. Rotten. How far is this mall?
The worst were the mosquitoes. The place looked like an eternal breeding ground for mosquitoes. I had never seen so many.
Welcome to our playground.
While the bully was talking, his friends were pushing me into one of those puddles. I staggered and almost fell, trying to keep my balance in the slippery, dirt-filled water.
Come on, are you afraid of the water?
Before I could react, I was pushed again, and this time, I fell straight into the puddle. I felt the dirty water enter my mouth and nose. It was repulsive. I tried to get up, but
what are these stalkers trying to do? Like, what are they trying to
holding my head under the water. My lungs burned as I tried to surface. The mosquitoes were also getting more violent. They were all swarming at me. I could see they weren't attacking the other guys. They must have had some repellent or something. As I tried to catch my breath, I felt the mosquitoes attacking my body. The itching sensation all over my body was just as bad, if not worse, than the mosquito bites.
Is he getting raped,
It was as if I was being bitten by more than 1,000 at the same time, and possibly that was the case. Crit and Arthid were holding my head, pressing me down into that infectious water. I couldn't breathe, and every time I managed to get up a little, one of them would push me down again. My heart was pounding wildly as I struggled to free myself. My hands moved desperately, but I could find no way to free myself. I swallowed some water and almost vomited under the rotten water. It was a miracle I didn't, and that would have been the end because I would have swallowed all that water. I began to realize something else. The water was full of something sticky and bitter. I started to move hard, and in a moment, I managed to kick Naran.
Oh my God.
Just enough for him to loosen his grip a little. With the air I managed to get, I
Thank
tried
you.
to run away, staggering and coughing with the water still in my throat. Wasting no time, I ran
That
out as
water's
fast as I
filled with their
could.
fucking
I could hear them yelling behind
busting
me.
juice, bro.
They weren't so much angry. They were laughing like never before. These guys didn't care about killing me. I knew if they caught me this time, I wasn't going to be able to get away again. I ducked into an abandoned store, one of those clothing stores which still had some broken mannequins and rusty shelves. I hid behind a shelf, my heart pounding so hard I could almost hear it. I could hear their voices outside yelling at me and calling my name like it was a game. You certainly like to play hide and seek. Be quiet. So do I.
Ads are like the termites of the
Oh
internet.
my
Lucky for
God,
you,
bro.
there's a free
This shit not even
exterminator you can
scary.
use.
This is
The internet
weird.
is so overrun with ads, it's barely usable. That's why Pi is such a game changer. It's a free Chrome extension that blocks ads on YouTube, Twitch, Spotify.
The young man seemed to keep threatening me as he kicked and moved things around in the tent. My hands were shaking, but I tried to keep quiet, hoping they wouldn't find me. Arthur was kicking the mannequins and breaking what little was left standing in the store. Crit's flashlight was passing by, illuminating the corners.
This
I
got to
didn't
be
know
in the
how long I
80s
would
because
be
he
able
got
to
no
hold it
cell
without
phone.
making a noise. It felt like hours. Every time one of them kicked something or screamed, fear squeezed my chest tighter. They were so close I could almost smell the sweat and anger they were emanating. They were no longer having fun. They were out to get me at all costs. At one point, one of the shelves near me fell with a loud
This shit is
thud,
24
and I
minutes
thought it
long.
was the
After this
end.
story, I'm done.
But then Crit got tired. That's enough, let's go. This loser's not worth so much of our time. We know where he lives. We'll get him. The others grunted something, but in the end, they decided to leave. I heard their footsteps walking away, and finally, silence. I stayed in that corner for hours.
Don't worry, I'm about to
feeling
fix
the tears
Mr.
fall
Beast, bro.
without my being
We're
able
gonna
to
watch
control
Mr.
them.
Beast.
I knew they could return at any moment. Maybe
You
they
can
had
get
never
this
left
work.
and
You
were
can get
waiting
this
for me.
chest smoke, bro.
So I didn't move
After
until
I watch
was
Mr.
sure
Beast,
no
you
one
can
was
get
left.
this chest smoke.
When I finally dared to
I've
leave the
upgraded
mall,
my IQ
I
and
walked a little
everything.
dizzy and could barely make it to the hospital. I didn't know if it was the rotten water or the hundreds of mosquitoes biting me at the same time, but something in me had changed. I felt alien, physically awful, and very dizzy. All of a sudden, I started to have a high fever. The hospital called my parents and told them everything. There was no need to ask who attacked me. My parents knew perfectly well, but they never did anything. The doctors managed
Don't
to
tell
save
me
my
the
life,
parents
and
in on
even
it.
though my father confronted my bullies, my problem continued until I left town a few years later. I understand that mosquitoes are no longer a problem because the government put some fish in the water to eat the mosquito eggs. Whatever the case, the mosquitoes were not the villains in this story. Those were my bullyings, and you know, they never had any real repercussions for this. They almost killed me, but since they didn't make it, they are free today.
Ooh, they dragged him here, raped him, and then why did they get no punishments? This is what's wrong with today's society. They get slapped on the wrist, they drowned his ass, made him eat mosquitoes. Fuck no, bro.
The way I fill up the hole, going up to the north, I ain't paying no toll. That bitch, her name Ellie, but I am not Joel. I'm speaking straight from the heart, I'm speaking straight from the soul. My mom with me with a branch, I'm not talking about trolls. In this bitch throwing dots like my name is Nick Foles. I won't ever be finished till I complete all my goals.